is a peculiar candy particularly well known in bluegrass country in central Kentucky. Mount Sterling, Kentucky is a kind of capital of cream candy making. Women here keep their recipes secret and go all out around the holidays when the cold weather is good for candy making to impress their family and friends. This is Rita, one of the most wonderful people I've ever met in my life, and certainly the best cook. She's famous for her cream candy and has agreed to share her secrets with us today. Cream candy, made simply of heavy cream, a dash of salt and soda, and water, is a labor-intensive and finicky confection. The ingredients must be slowly cooked, turned out onto a marble slab, and then pulled on a candy hook. If you understand the magic of making cream candy, after shaping and cutting, you'll be left with an incredibly rich and crumbly candy that melts to pure cream on your tongue. Let's get started. Here are your ingredients and equipment: 6 cups of white sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt, a pinch of soda, 2 cups of boiling water, 2 cups of heavy cream, a heavy 5-gallon pot, 1 to 2 large chilled marble slabs, and a metal hook or candy hook. The pot used must be heavy and of high quality in order to keep the candy from burning. First, bring the water to boil in a small pan. In the meantime, place the sugar, soda, and salt in your large pot.
Okay, I have the water on boiling. This is 6 cups of sugar, a half a teaspoon of salt, and a pinch, just a little pinch of soda that you put in there.
Okay.
1 pinch of soda. And that's it until the water boils, and then we start stirring it up. I told you the sugar. That's the only thing I put in there. Sugar, salt, and soda. And 2 cups of water. And now we just stir it for a while. And you want to stir this until it gets really hot and dissolves the sugar. And after it comes to a boil, I don't stir it. I don't put the spoon in there. Not at all. Never again.
That's good to know.
You'll see as we go along. Now this will take probably 15 minutes to boil, and I'll put a lid on it. And that makes sure when I put the lid on it, it causes it to steam. And if there's any sugar crystals, it will dissolve the sugar crystals. Because if you don't dissolve all these sugar crystals, it will cause it to turn to sugar again.
Well, so while you're stirring here, if you can take your eyes off of it for a second. If you can't, you just tell me. But it would be a good chance for me to ask you the story of how you started making cream candy.
Well, my husband and I, we had heard so much about cream candy, and we'd buy it at Ruth Hunt's. And I heard that a lot of ladies around here make cream candy, and I knew some of them that made it. And I tried to get both of them to come out. I would go pick them up, or I would go to their house. And they always said, you know, they had something going on, or anyway, they never agreed to let me see them make cream candy. My grandson's grandfather, his uncle's wife, Miss Schooler, she had heard from Corey's grandpa that I was trying to get someone to show me how to make cream candy. Because every time I made it, I had a big, big mess. It would just go to sugar. I would put it outside to cool off, and I'd pick it up in my hands and it'd run down my arms trying to get back in the house. I would put it on my marble hearth in there, the fireplace, with the fire going, of course, you know. And it would just always turn to a big lump of sugar. And finally, Miss Schooler heard that I wanted to make it, and she called me one night and said she heard I wanted to make cream candy and for me to bring what I thought I needed, and she would show me how. So I went with a little small, maybe a gallon, little pot, and 5 pounds of sugar and my cream. And when she looked at that little pot, she got tickled, you know, she was laughing. She said, honey, you can't make it in that little pot. So I needed a large, I needed a large pot. And she's the one I thought, if I could just see her make it, I'll be fine. And after I watched her, the very next night we came home and started our candy. And when I took it off the marble slab and put it up on the hook, and I started hollering, I can stretch it, I can stretch it.
That is awesome.
And I've never had but maybe one batch to go bad after that, and I don't know, I can't remember. Phone ringed and I just wasn't paying no attention to it. But I've had good luck with all of it since then. That's the story.
So Rita, you were saying that this is getting closer to a boil now.
Right.
We can see it's pretty clear. You can't see the sugar particles so much in it anymore.
No, it's really dissolving now. And I'll put the lid on it just in a few minutes. I could bring it to a faster boil, but it never turns out for me. I don't know why. I'm going to put the lid on it. You can see it's
I can see the
to a
boil. Yeah.
Okay, now this holds the steam in there.
So you said you're not going to touch it now with a spoon.
No
You just
more.
keep that lid on there to steam.
Yeah, just for a few minutes.
So Rita, how long is this going to boil with the lid on now?
Oh, I would say 3 minutes.
3 minutes? Okay. Okay, so she's taking off the lid here. You can really see that's hot right now.
Now I'm going to turn this down just a little. Not this one. But it's not on high, and it's high medium, I imagine you would say.
It almost looks like bubbling fat. You know,
Yeah, it does.
Like if you were going to
Yeah,
fry
sure.
something.
Yeah, deep fry.
Yeah.
I probably won't boil it 15 minutes. More like 10, I would imagine. After.
Okay. And then in the meantime, you're just getting your cream ready to go.
Right. And the bubbles will get heavy and thick.
They're already starting to get heavier.
Yeah, they will. They'll get heavier. But you don't want your syrup to turn brown.
So now you're measuring out your 2 cups of cream, a pint of cream.
Right.
You want to keep that pretty cold though? You don't want to take it out until...
Right.
Okay.
It's a light tint to it now.
Very light tint.
Right.
So you're getting your cream ready to go. You pour it slowly,
She told
but
me
all at
pour it
once.
slowly. And now we'll let that come back to a boil.
So you don't stir it once you put the cream in, huh?
No.
I'm starting to hear that bubble more, and I actually can smell it a tiny bit.
Yeah, and I'm gonna lift this up, and you want to scoop that on the. That'll burn your fingers. Just scoot it on this. Just push it over.
So now, at what stage do you put it on the trivet?
Just when it comes to a good boil.
When it comes to a good
Yeah.
When it started to rise up a little
Right.
bit.
And the only reason I do that, I'm afraid that that milk will scorch, you know, and it would against that hot heat, you know.
Yeah.
And so that holds it off that direct heat a little bit.
So you can really see now the bubbles have gone almost up towards the top. They're about 3/4 the way up the pot, and it is really bubbling now. It has gotten really high. The bubbles have gotten bigger, like Rita said.
A little heavier. I'm going to turn this around. I have to have my handles turned so this will fit. Lawton rigged that up. Because you can't touch the bottom. The thermometer shouldn't touch the bottom of the kettle,
Right.
and I've got it just right.
So I think that what I've noticed is that when it's about 2/3 the way up the pan,
Then it starts going down.
it starts going down, and that's when you put your thermometer in.
Right.
So Rita, just while we're waiting for this temperature to get up, do you know, is Mountain Sterling the only place you've really ever had cream candy?
That's the only place I've ever ate cream candy. In the mountains, we did not make it. We made taffy with molasses,
Yeah.
sorghum.
And it's made in a slightly different way, different
Right.
ingredients.
Right.
But you don't have any ideas where the origins of cream candy are.
I have no idea. I would like to. Wonder if you could look that up on the computer.
So these two are bringing the board in. It's been chilling outside. It's, as you can see, freezing weather out there.
Snow and all.
Yep. So you've got Crisco on there on a little paper towel, and you're just greasing up the whole thing.
Yeah, very lightly. Then I'll wipe it down as much as I can. You just barely want a little tiny bit on there. But you have to have something to keep it from sticking. And this does much better than butter.
Yeah.
Because butter has a little water in it.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
Turn my napkin over and wipe the excess off. Did you see the hook?
See the hook right there?
No, we need to look at that.
This is the hook.
It's just a simple hook. You could probably get something at a store, I guess, that would approximate it. But you had your special made, didn't
Yeah,
you?
Lawton made that. Like I said, he was a welder, so he made that.
Yeah.
It's really a strong one.
And it's a good height. It's like, it's right, well actually it's above your head,
Yeah.
but it's easier to pull that way
Right,
if
for
it's
me.
above your head.
Yeah, you have to have it because you pull it way out.
Pull it out. So you're checking the temperature again. It's getting closer, right?
Yeah, it'll still takes quite a while to reach the 250.
But that's still boiling at a good pace, but it's not furious.
No.
And it hasn't colored much. Like it's not turned brown or anything like that. It's still, it's barely has some color to it, but
Right.
it's still pretty white.
But I'll show you how to do them. It's really easy. I cut about 15 at one time at one cutting, but I'm just going to cut one. I just pull it out where I think it should be. And then I'll have about 15 at one time. And then I just fold them in thirds. And then clip it with the scissors.
On the edges.
And you can cut a lot at one time like that, and it doesn't take. I make about 4 different cuttings of them, and then I have my paper. I do that while I was waiting on you.
Rita just prepped herself a glass of water there so that she could put her candy thermometer in there so it doesn't get covered with the hard candy. It'll soak while she's making the candy.
I'm taking it off.
So it reached 250 just now. Rita's taking out the thermometer.
On for 31 minutes.
31 minutes after the cream went in. Okay.
And here we go.
That is boiling hot candy being poured onto the cold marble slab. She's expert at that because that's a heavy pan. It's also nice to have a little pan rest up there, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. You can tell it's turning a darker, creamier.
Yes, you can.
And they tell us not, or Miss Schooler told me not to ever take a spoon and rake the kettle down, that it would cause it to turn. But I've been tempted so many times because you lose a lot.
Yeah, you do lose. You probably lose like a quarter of a cup or something in
Yeah.
there. So you can really see that's a very, very light kind of tan color, resting perfectly on that marble. It's not gone off the edges at all. So she's folding that over on all sides.
Yeah, it's just like glass on the outside, isn't it?
Turning over a bit at a time.
It's still real warm there. Now it's still pretty warm. I'm going to put it on the other board over here.
So that's your other cold board, the one that hadn't had anything on it yet.
Right.
And is that one oiled too?
Yeah.
They both got grease.
I'm just going to let it cool down a little bit so I can handle it better. And here we go.
So the center of it goes on, and you pull down.
And at first it wants to get away from you. It's that oil on there. It wants to slide right out of your hands, but you just have to keep on for a minute or so to, and this is pretty warm yet.
So you don't want to burn your hands either, huh?
No. Now,
So Rita,
I don't know how long it takes. Different times, it's according to how warm the house is. And tonight it's not really cold in here, so.
it's going to take a bit longer than normal for you, huh?
Yeah, probably a little bit.
But I can just see it's getting so much stickier and it's shiny. Whenever you
yeah.
pull it back, it's got a nice long shine to it.
The cooler it gets, the stiffer it will get. Sometimes it gets so stiff I can hardly pull it.
Oh wow, now you see it's really taking on a different texture now.
You can just even hear when you put it on the hook how much
It has more heft.
heavier it is as it cools.
Who wants a bite?
Oh my gosh.
Well, just me, I'm going to drop it. Okay, here we get you a minute.
Oh my goodness.
Rita,
Oh my god.
spoiling us to death.
Yeah.
Oh, Rita.
Oh man, that is good.
Right off the hook.
Yeah.
So when you flip it over, you even them.
Yeah, you do. And sometimes the top will get a lot larger than that up there, and then you just pull it down and don't pull the bottom. Yeah, there you go. She's doing that. She's really doing good.
Nice work, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Well, somebody's got to give poor Rita a break.
Since I've been making candy every night, I tell you what, I've been sleeping good. And you pull it.
So it's important not to squeeze it.
Yeah, because the heat from your hand can cause it to go to sugar, you know. If you
Oh
do
my
it.
gosh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. You just have to kind of know the feel and the texture to know when to cut it down. That's all I can tell you. When it gets so stiff you can't pull it no more, I guess. I want to try to get a real pretty pull and then cut it down here in a minute. That's probably as good as I can get it.
There it is.
There you go.
You're just feeding it right through that tobacco cutter.
Go down.
See, that's what I mean. It sticks on me.
And you don't put any grease or anything on the cutter.
And she's so good at it, she can get the same size pretty much every time.
Now, I'm going to let you kind of, Elizabeth, pull it apart so it won't be sticking. But look how pretty and white that is.
So that's 4 pounds of candy right there.
Yeah.
That's a lot of candy.
Between 3.5 and 4 pounds.
Wow.
I used to, you know, when I sold it, I had to weigh it. You know, I had a little scale. Fold them over in one little motion.
I'm gonna mess that up.
Try.
I'll put some over for
I'm going to really get a close-up of you here, Rita. Oh, she makes it look so easy. How are your alls going?
Not well. Is that right?
me. Yeah.
Well, we better hurry and lay it down just like that, otherwise it's going to come unwrapped.
Mine, the ends come up, and that don't matter. As long as it's wrapped up.
Rita, thank you for having us out today. I can't believe that you are willing to let us come out and make cream candy for you and willing to let us eat it with you. That's the final product. We really appreciate it.
And I appreciate you coming, and I've really enjoyed having all three of you.